All right, in reaction 2 of the Copper Again lab, we are going to start with this blue-colored copper solution. That is going to now be, it was the product of step 1, and now it's going to be the reactant of step 2. We're going to add to this 6 molar, it's hard to see here, 6 capital M, but 6 molar sodium hydroxide, which is NaOH. Big N, little a, big O, big H, NaOH, sodium hydroxide. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to test the pH of this solution, and we're going to utilize pH paper. pH paper turns colors and is color-coded. So whatever color it turns, the pH paper, we can then determine what pH the solution is. So I'm going to go ahead and roll off a strip of this and lay it down on a white background, and I'm going to take a stir stick, a stir rod, and I'm going to stir the solution up a little bit, and then I'm going to take that wet stir rod and touch it to the tip of the solution. Okay? And from this you can see initially that it matches really well up with that real red color of a pH of 1. It actually starts to turn even more pink, and this is due to the fact that this pH is even less than 1. So the initial pH is around 1. Okay? Now I'm going to add to that the sodium hydroxide. So I'm going to touch this to the tip of it. And it really matches up well with pretty close to the 12. Looks like it's almost an identical color. So now we are going to take that pH, which is around 1 or less, and get it all the way up to a pH of 12 by adding drop by drop to it. And actually it says to add 30 drops initially to it, so that's what I'm going to do first off. Okay. And I'm going to stir it up. And you can see right away it kind of develops this really thick material. I'm going to feel the bottom of it, and it feels very, very warm. It's very warm, so that should tell you something in filling out the template. It's getting very hot actually, okay? So I'll keep stirring this up. I want to make sure it's uniform, and whenever we stir in a small test tube, we use a plunging motion. I move it all the way out and all the way down. You can kind of see there's different colors here. So I want to make sure it's all uniform in appearance, and that'll tell me now the pH that's at the top of the solution is the same at the bottom. This is a step that most students do incorrectly in the laboratory. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and test this pH. Get a little bit more. And we can see that from the pH paper that it too has gotten that nice dark blue color. So we are definitely in the very basic range of which we want. So right here now is the product. Now the original solution, when you look at it, when we started with it, you could literally see through it. Okay, it's almost like you would see a Gatorade or Powerade solution. It's blue, it's colored, but it's translucent, so you can see through that material, and that lets you know that it's a single state, a single phase of matter. Okay, here, this is very opaque. You can't see through it, and if I gave it enough time, what would happen is it would settle out and would form layers. There would be a layer in the bottom, which would be this nice dark blue, and above it would be a clear colored solution. So one of the substances is colorless, the other one has got this nice blue appearance to it. All right, and the solid that's on the bottom, that solid state material, and right now it's kind of mixed all together, creating a slurry. This solid is the copper hydroxide that is formed in this reaction. Okay? One other side note of this is you have to now fill out information to your data table. Students are having a difficult time with this, but in Canvas, you should see data table number 2 on the second page of the template. Hopefully you filled out the pHs now as I've gone through the steps, but in Canvas, I have given you, after step 2, the directions of step 2, if you read them through at the very end, I've given you this skeleton equation where copper 2 nitrate reacts with sodium hydroxide to produce copper hydroxide sodium nitrate. Below your table, you need to provide the balance equation. So you need to put coefficients out in front to balance this equation. Where students are really having a hard time is putting in these formulas for these materials. You literally, all you need to do is take the copper nitrate and place that down into the starting copper material. This is not the starting copper material for the entire experiment. It's the starting copper material for step 2. And in step 2, the starting material was copper nitrate. So that's what you'll put down your table is copper 2 nitrate, that formula. The reagent that you added, the reactant that you added, was sodium hydroxide. So you'll slip that down into the formula. The first product was the copper 2 hydroxide, which will go then into the first box. And the second product of the reaction, again, people are thinking this is the product of reaction 1 and 2. It's not. This is the product 1 and product 2 of the reaction, since this reaction produces 2 products. So that'll go into your formula. All you need to do now is, based on watching the video, is put down what is the color of each of these materials and what is their physical state of matter. Okay? The only thing in this lab that is liquid is water. So if it looks like a liquid, like the product of the first step, it's actually a solution, which is aqueous. So your state should either have L for liquid, AQ for aqueous. Both of those look like liquids, right? But one is colored, one is not. And then the other ones will be solid or gas, of which in the first step we did see a gas, and that's why we put in the fuel. All right, so that's step 2 of the Copper Again lab.